Took up to, hey, everybody, this is Paul Romero with the Swiss Gold Global Independent Business Owner Network Marketing Training number 179 on a beautiful, glorious September 2nd website Wednesday here. And I'll just finish off with telling John something that it took all the way up to just like 3 days before I left before things went bad. But anyway, and my diet went way off kilter. And we were having a little conversation here about how the body, it takes a whole lot longer to do bad things to your body than it does to do good things to your body. And I got to thinking about that this morning, and I was like thinking about dieters, people are trying to lose weight all the time, and they're like, they go on these diets and something doesn't happen right away, and they're not seeing, they lose a few pounds and nothing's really going on, and they give up on their diet, right? But you got to think, how many freaking years have you been piling on those pounds, right? And now you're expecting your diet to freaking make a change in like a week or a month? Are you crazy? But the thing is, it took you years to pile on those pounds, but if you stick with that diet, it's only going to take you months to knock them off. That's kind of the point I was getting at, how the body, it takes a lot longer to do bad things to your body than it does to do good things to your body. And with that, I'm going to see how John's little opinion of that goes.
Good. Happy rising, everybody. It feels like a new update to me, although it is a Wednesday, I guess, because every day offers new opportunities. Website Wednesday, as Paul said, welcome to the Hangout. Interesting to, thought this morning, Paul. My mind was actually kind of on the topic of health this morning because I'm doing a master cleanse. This is actually day one. And what you said there, the body does have this amazing ability to heal itself. I mean, depending on what you're doing, it may take years to destroy your body, but you start getting into a healthy lifestyle. It's amazing how you begin to feel better relatively quickly by just changing some of your habits, right? So I agree with you there, Paul. That's an interesting thing to think about this morning. What I was looking at actually right before this call was looking up the prices of gold and silver, because I always find those interesting. And so basically the 3-day forecast is on Monday, or new update. Gold opened at 6:30 a.m. at $14.46. It went up the following morning to about, I meant silver if I said gold. Silver was at $14.61 on Tuesday, and this morning it's at $14.56. So it seems to be sticking around those numbers. And then gold's been fluctuating between $1,128 on Monday to this morning, $1,137.
Oh, it's going back up, baby. Better start buying it.
It'll be interesting to see where gold pricing goes over the next year. Hey, I think at those numbers, even though maybe gold could be a little bit lower, I still think historically, if you look at the last 10, 15 years of the history of the market there, gold's at a pretty good price. Not in comparison to the early 2000s when you were buying it at $300 an ounce, but what's the difference between now and then is massive money printing is taking place, inflation, and of course the run-up in the pricing during the 06 through 08, buildup of credit, and then the major crash we all just experienced.
Well, my thought on that, here's my thought on that. I don't care if you want it or not, I'm going to give it to you. Looking at the history of gold from the 1800s all the way through the 19th or the 20th century or whatever it is, through the 1900s and into 2000, looking at the history of the activity of gold, I will say right now, buy your gold, buy it as much as you possibly can, store it, save it, and wait for when it explodes. And right now I would say, hey, I don't care what the price is, buy. And the day that you want to start getting scared is when you see gold drop below $1,000 an ounce for the first time in about 10 years. And that's only, I forget, I was looking at this a while ago. I forget the exact where we are right now, but I think it was like 2000 and I don't know. I think it was like 2009 or 10. No, let's see. Wait. Yeah, I think it was around 2009, something like that. The last time that gold was below $1,000 an ounce. So we got a few years, but yeah, that's what I say. When it dips below $1,000 an ounce for the first time in approximately 10 years, that's when you get scared. That's when the economy is going to shit again. It's not going to look like it right away, because it's actually, the economy is going to be looking great. Everything's going to be looking fantastic. That's why gold's going to start going up, but it's leading to the next bubble. And it's going to be after that it goes to shit again. So anyway, and that's kind of interesting, because I actually wanted to, and why did I start off with the whole, body thing this morning? And, how things, like it takes time for anything to happen. Because I got a little picture here, a little graph kind of a picture here that I want to show you this morning, or this AM here. And it pretty much goes for everything. Everything that is different, that is a change, that is new to you as a human being, whether it be, in physical world, in your emotional world, in your mental world, in your financial world, in your relationship world, in your spiritual world, whatever the heck it is, anything new, different, whatever that you put into place, it all follows the same exact pattern. And this is the pattern right here. That simple little graph right there. Everything starts off slowly, 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 slowly. And this is about where people give up. But when you stick with it, all of a sudden, it starts to take off. And when it takes off, it just skyrockets. And that's how everything works. And why do I bring that up? Because that's exactly how your Swiss Gold Global business starts out. It starts off slowly. You start getting a little bit of activity happening. You start having a little bit of money coming in. You start working with one person maybe. And then, then there's two people, and you have a little bit more money coming in, and it takes a little bit of time. Now the time frame, notice I didn't put any time frames on this. This is just the graph. This could be anywhere from, 1 to 6 months, or this could be 1 to 6 years. It all depends on what it is that you're doing. In today's world, though, quite honestly, this can pretty much happen in 1 to 6 months with just about anything out there, really, because there's just so much information. Time is moving so much faster. Everything just happening at breakneck speed in today's world. So I just wanted to throw that out there, that awesome little graph right there. So simple and yet so powerful. And if you just realize that it takes a little bit of time to get things going, and you don't give up and you stick with it, all of a sudden it's going to start taking off. I don't care what it is that you're doing that's new, different, or changeable in your life.
Yeah, no, I agree with that 100%. It does seem to be like that. It's funny. That's how your Swiss Gold Global business is. That's exactly, Paul and I had started a real estate business in 2012, and our graph looks very similar to that. Maybe a couple of jags, a couple of peaks, and then deep valleys along the way. But exponential growth is what they call that. It's, it's like when you start off a new healthy way of living, it's like a kind of like at first a little bit of an uphill battle, because you're changing major habits about yourself. And as you progress, you start to see the difference. You start to see the distance. Then all of a sudden, one day you realize, like, all of a sudden you really see the difference. And then your growth is like skyrocketing. One of my favorite quotes, I picked it up from a book called 3 Feet from Gold. I don't remember exactly who said this, because basically that book is a book of interviews with different self-made millionaires, entrepreneurs, philanthropists, billionaires. And the guy said, it took me 10 years to become an overnight success. And basically it was alluding to the fact that this guy had started his business. He had a desire. He had a belief that in himself that he was going to be successful. and he treaded along, and so slow growth all on the way. And then all of a sudden, one day, it's in 1 year, his business had taken off, and like the 9 previous years of working hard at something began to pay off. And then it was like, literally, when that happens, because I feel this way with our real estate business, is you feel like an overnight success. And then you realize it may have taken you quite some time to get that feeling. And if you look at your chart of progress, it looks just like that. So
just like this?
Instead, you got to stick with it and continue to push forward, doing the things you need to do, whether you feel like it or not, along the way. Have good habits and just stick to it, and have a burning desire and a belief in yourself. And as you see from that chart, it'll pay off.
Yeah, Alex, and just like that. And the thing is, your guy's quote right there, it took me 10 years to become an overnight success. That's probably a pretty old quote. And 10 years actually, even just probably 10 years ago was a very fast pace to reach that exponential growth phase in, especially in business, in the business world. And today, though, as I was saying, there's so much information available out there. There's so many people that are willing to share information. There's so much, just the spirit of co-opetition opposed to, competition in today's world, that you can really, like I said, you can really, especially in your financial realm, whether it be in a business or, creating passive income or whatever it is, you can, achieving financial freedom, really, I mean, the ultimate goal there, you can really put this graph into reaching this exponential level in 3 years or less. And 3 years is not a long time. I mean, if you would take the time right now to think back on your life 3 years ago, I would guarantee you it looks pretty much damn near exactly the same. I mean, you might be thinking, hey, I'm doing so much better. I'm making an extra $5 an hour or whatever. But when you compare that to the rising cost of everything, the inflation that we've experienced, all of that, if your life isn't worse than it was 3 years ago, like I said, it's damn near exactly the same. And it's going to be just like that, for every 3-year period you look back, and for every 3-year period you look forward, unless you do something different, like maybe Swiss Gold Global, for instance.
Exactly. So, with that being said, we covered a couple things here quickly this morning. I know it's Website Wednesday. We've got just a few minutes here. Paul, was there anything specific that you had in mind to show everybody on the website today?
Well, you know what? With my traveling and getting caught up here this past week, I first of all want to say I do apologize to everybody for not being here on New Op Day and holding these hangouts for you guys. But I was traveling, and John had a prior commitment that he couldn't pick up the slack on Monday, New Op Day morning there. So I do apologize for that. So I didn't really actually have a chance to get into anything new as far as what's going on here. So what I'd like to really do, though, is just dive back into the real wealth revolution here for just a moment, and go back to what I was looking at, which was I think was that it's still in Philip Judge's area?
Yeah, that's where we left off. You were showing those movies there. You're not screen sharing right now if you're meaning to.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's crazy. I went through.
For a second, then it switched off.
Oh, that's probably because I'm an idiot and I canceled it. I hit stop sharing instead of hide. That's what happened. There, is that better?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, that's right. We had talked about this life cycle of money. We had talked about the Millennium Money movie here. It was a 2-hour documentary, which really what this does a lot of is shows shows the comparison to the Great Depression as to, you know, the what they call the Great Recession, which is ridiculous because I mean these are if two things are exactly the same, how can they be different? And I swear to you that the Great Depression, what led to it, what happened afterwards, exactly the same thing that happened in 2007, 8, only, you know, just different avenues, but exactly the same freaking thing. So if 1934 was a Great Depression, why is 2007 not another Great Depression, and why is it a recession? Well, that's a whole nother subject there that we could go into about governmental manipulation of your mind, but just through information. But these two things were brand new. The Y Swiss storage and the supply, demand, and pricing. And I don't think that I even got into, I don't remember if I even listened to this supply, demand, and pricing, but I did listen to the Y Swiss storage. And I wanted to go through that again a little bit because there was some really powerful things in there. We pointed out to you that one of the biggest objections that you are going to get from people as far as, you know, their interest in gold and silver, especially people who are interested in gold and silver and buying and storing and saving gold and silver, is why would I want to keep it out of the country? Why, you know, I want physical delivery. And when you listen to this, I think it's only like 30 minutes.
Hello, I'm John Ward on behalf of
if I'm not mistaken here. Yeah, it's only 34 minutes long. And I wonder if I can just find a piece here that really quick.
Private International Law Act and all safeguard
probably
is where Switzerland is so unique, and it's unique for one thing, which we call the Swiss Alps. If you look at
that's the area right there. About 10-15 minutes in, he starts talking about the actually I wanted to go back. See if I can find that really quick. There's only like
the history of European wars.
There's only like
the private storage of valuable private property, and it's not really important under law what type of precious property facility.
Yeah, you know, I can sit here and play with this. I can't wait to listen to it again, but
I think it's you know, we talked about this a little bit last Wednesday, and I think it's important pretty much to watch that whole thing to understand it, because one of the obstacles or maybe an objection or one of the concerns that people have talked to me about when I talk about what I'm doing with Swiss Gold Global and how I'm purchasing, you know, I can purchase small quantities of gold and silver for as little as $25 a month. And with gold, that's virtually impossible to go out and be able to just buy $25 worth of gold. It really is. And this is a great way to be able to buy those small quantities and start somewhere. As we talked about earlier about habits and moving forward, you know, one of those things that you'll see that kind of growth in is your savings account. One of the objections, and why I think that video or that audio that Paul talked about just now and last Wednesday, it explains why storing your gold and silver in Switzerland is such a beneficial thing. And there's a lot of material in there that could probably address a lot of concerns and questions people might have specifically about the product when they see what it is and they go, well, I always hear that I should take physical delivery of gold and silver. And of course, yeah, you should always do that. But in addition to a savings account with storage in Switzerland, and this movie kind of breaks it down and makes a lot of great points about the diversity and the safety of Swiss storage.
And one of the key factors to it, I mean, I'm going to run through just a couple of things here. It talks about the history in that, you know, Switzerland has a long history in this. The geography, where you heard right there, he was talking about the Swiss Alps and of itself. He was talking about the neutrality of the country, the sovereignty of the country, the political and the financial aspects of the country, the secrecy even, there's a very interesting thing in there about the secrecy, and then the market proximity, and that is that how closely gold and silver through Switzerland is, able to reach the marketplace. And that's kind of one of the key factors, along with, I forgot where I was going there. But anyway, the market proximity and being able to reach the marketplace with your product, with your gold and silver, that's huge. Oh, and I was going to say, realistically, where do you think all of the richest people on the planet have their gold and silver? And I guarantee you they have gold and silver, approximately 20% of their net worth in gold and silver. Okay, because there's a secret formula there that I worked out one day, and it totally makes sense. To preserve your wealth for eternity is approximately 20% in gold and silver. But so where do you think they keep it? I guarantee you they're keeping it in Switzerland. Okay, so if you have any question about the stability and what if and when that country collapses and I'm going to lose all my gold and silver, well, if you're going to lose your gold and silver, all the richest, wealthiest people in the freaking world are going to lose their gold and silver, and I guarantee you they ain't going to let that happen.
And the thing that I try to explain to people too is that really actually anything could happen. Really could. The chances are really small. But if we get to a point where gold, silver, and precious, artwork that's stored in Swiss storage is compromised, we've got a lot bigger problems than just our gold and silver savings account. Kind of at that point, I think it would be an apocalyptic, no holds barred type scenario. And I don't think silver and gold would make a difference to anyone at that point.
I think food and water is all it's going to be about. But and then the other thing too that hey, everybody, I want to take physical storage, right? Well, where do you get and buy physical gold, and what are you buying? Are you buying U.S. backed minted stuff? And if you are, it's totally under governmental control and banking control. I mean, I don't care if you got it in your closet; it's still under governmental and banking control. And that's one of the things about these storage facilities in Switzerland is they are outside of banking and governmental control. So that's a huge thing as well too. And with that, we're about 3 minutes out over here, John. So if you got a final thought and want to take us out of here, why don't you run it home?
I'll put out an interesting thing about what you just said there. When you have a gold medallion or a piece of bullion from a private mint or a bar of gold or a medallion or coin from Swiss Gold Global that's privately minted, privately crafted, it falls into a different category. It's the same metal, carries the same value as a U.S. minted gold coin. They call them the Gold Eagles. The face value is $20. However, they're being bought and sold and traded right at that spot price of $11.37 that I talked about this morning. But you actually, and you can verify this, Google it, when you have a U.S. minted coin, you are not the owner of that gold. You are the legal bearer of that coin. And there's a big difference between giving the ability to legally bear an item or something that you legally own. It is under government control. In 1933, the U.S. government did a gold confiscation where everybody was legally forced to turn in their 20 gold pieces in exchange for $35. So it seemed like a great thing. However, people didn't realize that they were inflating the money supply and instantly devaluing. You weren't all of a sudden turning in your $20 gold coin and getting $35 and making it almost, 48% return on your money. You were actually seeing a devaluation of about 50% of the value of the currency overnight. All this stuff is verifiable through Google, and it's fascinating, interesting to read the history of currency within the last 200 years in the United States alone. So keep that in mind when you're making your choice to buy gold and silver. Think about Swiss storage. We have an awesome website, an awesome product here. And with that, I say, oh, universe, I ask not for more riches, though I do want more gold, but for more wisdom with which to make better use of the real riches given to me at birth, which is the power to control and to direct my own mind to whatever ends I may desire. So go out there and learn something new.
That's right. And be a little patient at first.